All right, we're going to go ahead and review slope with similar triangles. So before we get started, let's go ahead and let's define our slope. So all slope is the steepness of a line. All right, and when I say slope, what I really mean is rise over run. When I'm looking at my x and y points, my y is going to be my rise and my x is going to be my run, because y can only move up and down and x can only move right to left. Okay, so let's take a look at this very first one. It says that the graph of line M is shown. Use the similar slope triangles to compare the slope of segment RT and TV. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and just add some points to this so that you guys will be able to see it better. I'm going to draw my triangle. So I have one here, and then I have another one right here. Okay, so it's asking me to find RT and TV. So I'm going to put RT over here and TV over here. When I look at my RT right here, I'm going to go ahead and look at my rise over my run. So I'm going to look at how many points it takes me to go up until I can meet that T point, and then how many points I have to go over, which would be my run. So let's go ahead and get a different color here. Let's do like an orange. All right, so starting at R and going to T, I'm going to see my rise, which is 1, 2, over my run, 1, 2, 3, 4. And because I went up 2 and over to the right 4, this is going to be positive. So 2 over 4 can be simplified, and I know this because if I divide 2 by 4, it's going to simplify for me, but also I know that 2 and 4 have a number in common, and that would be 2. So if I divide my numerator and my denominator by 2, I'm going to get 1 over 2. And then looking at my T to V, right? So my rise over run would just be 1 for my rise over my run, how many spaces it takes me to get to V. So that would be 1 and then 2. So because RT is 1/2 and also TV are 1/2, these would be considered proportional. So 1/2 is the slope of our line. So looking at number 2, we have the plans for a zip line are shown. Use 2 points to determine the slope of the zip line. Then verify that the slope is the same by choosing a different set of points. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and choose the points D and C. And then I'm also going to look at C and B. And then let's create a point right here, and let's call that E. So for my first one, I have segments DC that I need to look at. I have CB that I'm going to take a peek at as well. And then I also have EB because I was asked to pick my own point. So when I look at DC, let's pick another color. If I'm starting at D, what's my rise over run to get to C, or my slope? So I'm going to rise up +1. And then to get to C, I have to move to the left, which means it's going to be negative. So -1, -2, -3. So DC segment is 1 over -3. Now let's look at my CB segment. So now I'm starting at C, and I'm going to try to get to B. So my rise would be 1, 2, over my run. And again, I have to move to the left, which means that this is going to be negative. So let's go -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So 2 and -6 can simplify because there's a factor in common for both, and that would just be 2. So I'm going to divide my numerator by 2, and I'm going to get 1. and then I'm going to divide my denominator by 2, and I'm going to get -3. So far they're the same, but I was asked to pick 1 point, so I picked EB, and if this is the same, then that's going to confirm the slope of my line. So the point that I picked was E. We went ahead and we created this one. So I'm going to do my rise over run. So looking at my y coordinates, how many y's I have to move up. So that's just 1 over, and then again I have to move to the left, which means that this is going to be a negative. So -1, -2, -3. So I have my segment EB, the slope of that was 1 over -3. The slope of my CB was 1 over -3, and the slope of my DC was 1 over -3. So all of these just confirm that the slope of this line is 1 over -3. So let's take a look at this last one right here. We're going to name the slope triangle shown in this graph, and then what is the slope of the line? So it looks like there's a lot going on, and that's because there is. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys our different points. All right, so I see one triangle right here. I see A, E, H. So my first triangle is A, E, and H. But then I also see that I have a B, I, and D. So triangle B, I, D. And then I also see, let's do a green, that I have C, G, F as a triangle as well. Okay, and that one does share a side with our other one. So I also have triangle C, G, F. So let's start with my triangle A, E, H. So I'm going to start at my A, start at my lowest point, and I'm going to go until I get to my E. So I can draw a line across to let me know when it's time to turn around for my other point. So I need to go up, and because I'm going to go up, that means that it's going to be some kind of positive. So up 1, 2, 3, 4. So my rise is 4. Over my run, I have to move to the right, so I know that it's going to be positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So over 8. Now I know that 4 over 8 can simplify. If I were to divide 4 divided by 8, I would get 0.5. And 0.5, if I were to use my calculator and convert that into a fraction, I would get 1/2. So now let's take a look at my triangle BID. I'm going to start at my lowest point B and see if I can get to my D. So because there's just a lot going on, I'm going to make a nice little dotted line to help me figure out where I'm going to go. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, and because I went up, that's a positive 2, all over, and I'm going to move to the right, which means that this number is also going to be positive. So positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4. And then the same thing here. If I put in my calculator 2 divided by 4, I'm going to get a fraction. But first it's going to give me a decimal of 0.5. So 0.5 converted to a fraction would be 1/2. So far we're good. We've got both of our segments matching up. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this last one. So triangle CGF. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to see how many points it takes me to get from C to G and then from G to F. So if I'm starting at C, it's going to be positive 1, positive 2, positive 3. So I have 3 over, and then I'm going to move to the right, which means that it's going to be positive. So positive 1, positive 2, positive 3, positive 4, positive 5, and positive 6. 3 is half of 6, which means that this is going to reduce to 1/2. So because all 3 of these segments are the same, That means that the slope of my line is going to be 1/2. So just to go ahead and review really quick before we sign out, slope is just measuring the steepness of your line. Slope can also be known as rise over run or y over x. So y is moving up and down on the graph, and then x is moving left to right. If you guys need anything else, feel free to send me an email, let me know, and I hope this helps.